Hey guys, real quick, want to shoot a video with a quick overview of the New Testament, the structure of the New Testament. I know many of you are reading through the New Testament right now with us as part of the 365 Bible reading plan, and I know many more jumped in who didn't start at the new year with us, but who want to read through the New Testament with us, which is very exciting. I'm excited for the fruit that is sure to come of this. So I wanted to give you a quick overview of these books. The book that we gave you gives you 3 sections to the New Testament. And I want to try to make sense of those and even break them down a little bit further for you. Let's begin with the Gospels. You have really 4 accounts of the Gospel. I'll tell you why Acts is included here in a second, though a lot of resources that break down the books of the New Testament into sections won't have Acts here in the Gospels. But I'll explain that after I talk about these 4 accounts of Jesus's life and ministry. First of all, you have Matthew, who appears to be writing to a primarily Jewish audience, and you'll see that reflected in that he quotes a lot of Old Testament scripture that Jesus fulfilled, focuses a lot on the teachings of Jesus. Mark appears to have had in mind a more Gentile audience, a non-Jewish audience, and as a result focuses more on the actions and the works of Jesus. Luke is a nice blend of the two, except what's unique about Luke is he is actually this gospel is part 1 of a 2-part, he has a 2-volume book. Luke and Acts go together and were intended to be read together. And so these 3 are what we call the synoptic gospels because they're very similar. They have a lot of material in common. They seem to have worked off of a shared source or more than one, perhaps. There's a lot of theories behind that, but some of their accounts will be verbatim the same, but they all three have unique emphases and different material from the others. John is the most unique of these 4, and John wrote much later, and he's clearly writing to emphasize the deity of Christ. And I suppose what would have happened would have been as the decades had gone by, John came back around and very familiar with and aware of the material that was out there about Jesus, wanted to supplement what was in the original 3 Gospels with what he saw as the decades went on and as the church evolved, what needed to be mentioned and included. This doesn't necessarily say anything that could not be deduced from the original 3 Gospels, but he obviously wanted to make plain things about the deity of Jesus. So it's a very helpful book. John is a little bit unique from the others. And then I already mentioned Acts as part 2 of Luke's account of the gospel, the ministry of Jesus, and then the ministry, it's often the longer title is the Acts of the Apostles. And these are the activities and a record of the early church. And so this is going to take us through the early disciples ministry. You'll see the first part of the book of Acts focuses on the ministry of Peter. And then as Paul rises to become a missionary in the early church, then the book of Acts will focus primarily on the ministry of Paul after that. So that's the Gospels and Acts. And then we have what are listed here as epistles. That just means letters. And Pauline means they're written by Paul. So these are the letters of Paul right here. And most of these letters are written to churches like the church in Rome, the church in Corinth, the church in Galatia, Ephesus, Philippi, Colossae, and then and Thessalonica. And then you have down here 4 personal letters. 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus are often called the pastoral epistles because these are Paul's letters to other pastors, men that he had worked closely with and was writing as part of his regular correspondence with them. Then finally, Philemon is a personal letter to a prominent Christian in the early church regarding a slave named Onesimus that Paul has met, and he wants to write to Philemon regarding how he should view his slave. And so these are the letters of Paul that we have in the New Testament, and then the rest are categorized here as non-Pauline books. I'm not thrilled about that heading, but it is what it is. These are the other epistles. And Hebrews, we don't know who authored Hebrews. Some attribute this to Paul. Most see significant differences between Hebrews and Paul's writings, and so don't attribute it to Paul. Nonetheless, very valuable book in the New Testament. The epistle of James was written by Jesus's half-brother, James, who was a prominent leader in the early church. And 1st and 2nd Peter are written by the Apostle Peter, as well as 1st, 2nd, 3rd John are written by the Apostle John, who wrote the Gospel of John, as well as the book of Revelation. Jude is another half-brother of Jesus, and this is his epistle. And so there you have it. So you have the Gospels in the book of Acts, you have these Pauline letters, these non-Pauline letters written by various authors, and those are the 27 books of the New Testament. So in just a couple of months' time, we hope to read through those. Don't forget, you've got lots of great resources for helping you understand each of these books, even the opportunity to quiz yourself over here after you read through each book. And so I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, please let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks.